Welcome to Cass County today. You remember that old song back, I think it was back in the 70s, said no more teachers, no more school, no more books, and no more rules. I forgot, maybe Alice Cooper sang that. Well, it's that time. School's out, there's no more school. And have you noticed how the traffic has decreased in Atlanta? You can actually get around McDonald's now. So take advantage of that if you want to, and go get you something to eat early in the morning, because when the kids are out of school, everything slows down. But on the flip side of that, their learning decreases too. Actually, studies show that over the last 100 years, students typically score lower on standardized tests at the end of the summer than they do at the beginning of the summer. So those 2 months that they're off really affect their performance and their remembering processes. So here, I've got some tips for you today on how you can help that. Well, there's a few things you can do for your kids, and the first one, of course, is fundamental reading. And if you love to read, instill in your children a love of reading. Reading is a crucial skill that has impact way even into your adult life. Here's some fun ways to keep your kids going on that this summer. Make time every day for reading. Read to your children and model good reading habits to them, which means you need to read also. Communicate that reading is important. It goes with you throughout your lifetime. You can help kids choose books that are an appropriate reading level for their age, because nothing is more discouraging than getting a book and you don't understand what it's talking about or understand the words in it. And here's a good rule of thumb. If they can read a whole page without 5 or fewer errors, just 5 or fewer errors, then it's appropriate for their age level. But if they have more than 5 errors in one page of reading, you might want to consider bumping them back a little bit to something just a little easier, because that may be too challenging for them. Here's another good thing to do. Discuss the new words with your young readers. Ask them, like say the word vacuum. What might you do with the vacuum? Use the word vacuum in a sentence. What does a vacuum look like? Can you draw me a picture of a vacuum? There's all kinds of ways to communicate the word and its meaning to get it into their little minds. It's really cool, actually. You also should let them read from a variety of materials like fairy tales, information books, poems, children's magazines, newspapers, sports pages, e-books. I know my grandson loves to read my Kindle. It doesn't matter to him. He just loves to read anyways. But even comic books, they're all good ways to read and strengthen their reading skills. The advice from the people who know is don't drill your child on letters, words, numbers, or colors, but turn it into a game, because making it into a game and making it fun helps them to remember it longer. Make sure that reading material is easily available. Leave your books and magazines in their room for a change, and have reading material in other rooms of the house. What can you do for others? Because it's not just important that your child learns to read, but what about others? Say low-income families. Did you know that in those 2 months over the summer, it's been shown that those students who come from low-income families lose more intellectually than those who come from higher income families? Actually, more than half of the achievement gap is between lower and higher income youth, and it can be explained by unequal access to summer learning opportunities. They don't have anybody to take them to the library or to even sit and listen to them read. So to help close this gap, the UPS store has come up with something that's really neat. It supports the Toys for Tots literacy program, and that is a year-round initiative that encourages monetary donations, and it provides books to less fortunate children. You can even go online. Let's see, it's www.toysfortots, that's it, .org/literacy, and find out all kinds of information about that. What you can also do is they'll let you go to the UPS website and download coloring books. You can color them, or you can have your own child write their stories, illustrate their stories, and then upload them to that website for printing. That's a pretty good idea right there. That's called a booktivity. If you want to do that, go to www.theupsstore.com/print, and you can have that done. They can make their own little book for the summer. They can tell all about their vacation or what's going on around the house. That'd be good for them. In case you're wondering about what books your children should read at what age, here's a few suggestions. From age 3 to 6, what about the book If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Numeroff? Or there's Mr. Peek and the Misunderstanding at the Zoo by Kevin Waldron. Baloney, Henry P. or Kitten's First Full Moon. Those all sound good, and you can probably pick them up at our local library down here. For ages 6 to 9, here's a few suggestions. A Picture Book of Jesse Owens. Clementine. What Really Happened in Roswell. Just the facts plus the rumors about UFOs and aliens. Or From the Belly Button of the Moon and Other Summer Poems. You know, kids are not too young to read poems even at 9 years old. From 9 to 12, you might suggest these reading. The Bat Boy. Summer reading is killing me. that one ought to be good. Because of Winn-Dixie, or A Long Way from Chicago. And then for ages 13 plus, they suggest Summerland, Esperanza Rising, Holes, and Hunger Games. All those I'm sure can be checked out on Amazon.com too if you want to download them to your Kindle. But to get more book recommendations, you could always visit your local library or the bookstore downtown because they've got lots of good ideas. Well, how many of you are going to get to go on vacation this year? You know they're on the rise because gas prices are dropping, praise the Lord. And so, according to a recent study by Bing and Impulse Research Survey, when planning a vacation, people are equally as influenced by the recommendation of their friends as they are by where their out-of-town friends live or they go to vacation. So if you're going to hit the open road, whether you're going to a wedding or a family reunion or just on vacation, here's a few things you might want to think about before you leave your driveway. Get ready. You know that old saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Keep that in mind when you're planning a road trip. It's not about getting from point A to point B, but all the things in between. Do your homework. A little trip prep, well, I can't read today. A little trip prep can go a long way. Also, you can Google all kinds of things and find out where to stop, interesting places from point A to point B. Get your general map research done before you leave home. Also, you might want to consider holding a family meeting. Are there interesting things that your kids want to do? Maybe your children want to stop by and see. If you're on your way to Destin, maybe you'll want to stop at the ship in Mobile and tour that big Army, is it Army, Navy? Some ship, I don't know. I've always wanted to go on that and I have never stopped. Every time, I promise you, that we go through Mobile, Steve speeds up when we get to that ship. I guess that's a hint. Anyways, back to this. Also, be sure and plan your stops because you don't want to make your children ride too long in the car without stopping for a walk break or a potty break or a snack break. They don't do well for being in the car for more than 6 hours a day. Most of the time, I don't either. So give yourself plenty of time for breaks along the way. Here's a packing checklist that you'll want to do before you set out on the road. Make sure you've got treats for each child, like maybe games and fun toys or books. Or surprise distractions. You know, hide some things, and when you stop along the way, get them out and give them to them. Pillows and blankets, snacks and drinks. You might want to even take a small cooler to keep them cold in. You might want to put a large cooler in the trunk for sandwiches and things like that where you don't have to stop and eat at McDonald's. A first aid kit, roadside emergency kit. Oh, it's a good idea to pack wet wipes and paper towels too. Trash bags, flashlight, your electronics chargers and extra batteries, cameras or your video cameras, a laundry bag for dirty clothes, rolls of quarters. Now see, that's a good one for when you stop. You're going to need lots of extra quarters. And then of course you'll want your updated maps if you don't have a navigation system on your car. And if you want to upgrade your camera or your GPS system for your trip, or you're looking for other good travel gear, you might want to Bing that. You know, that's like the Google site, except you use Bing.com. It'll give you all kinds of things that you can, all kinds of websites you can go to find and do those things. Also, check with people on your Facebook account. They've got great ideas about where to go, where to stop, where they've been, what they enjoyed, where they liked eating at. So, you know, throw it out there on Facebook. Here's one I've never considered. These people suggest that you practice packing. Pack all your stuff and then take it outside, load it into the car, make sure it's all going to fit. Now see, I think that's a good idea because if you've overpacked or you need to rearrange things, you'll know that before you strike out on your trip that morning. There's lots of times we get in the car and we just barely have room to sit ourselves. So, oh, and also make sure your car is ready. Have everything checked out. Your battery, your tires, your belts and things like that. AAA recommends that you have a qualified mechanic give it a thorough checkup to make sure your vehicle is safe and in good running order before you leave. Also, this is one that we do around our house. when my grandkids are there. Set a technology time limit. You've got X amount of minutes or maybe an hour or two to play your Nintendo, your DS, your DSi, or whatever it is you're taking, your iPad. And then after that, cut them off. They need time with you and with each other. Plus, that lets each of you enjoy your own activities as well as the company of your other guests. Oh, be sure and plan too to expect the unexpected. Give yourself time, even permission, to discover things that are not on your itinerary. You never know what's around the corner. If you need some road trip resources, here are a few websites you can go to. www.roadtripusa.com. You can go to www.bestoftheroad.com or www.nationaltrust.org. And if you're interested in national parks, you might check out www.nationalparks.org, because there's lots of good things to do in our national parks. Okay, I'll read you a story now. When the Taylor family's new swimming pool was completed, the builder was about to fill it with water. But Erin, a New Jersey mother of 3 children, 2 of whom were non-swimmers, stopped him. She said, "Not one drop of water goes into that pool until the fence is installed." Erin and her husband, Jay, are painfully aware of how dangerous swimming pools can be, because Jay's young cousin, Alicia, had drowned in a neighbor's unfenced, above-ground swimming pool, and the preschooler's funeral was seared into their memories. Drowning is the second leading cause of unintentional injury death to children ages 1 to 14, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And in the Sun Belt states, it's the leading cause of death. Children ages 5 and younger are at the highest risk, accounting for 76% of all reported drowning-related fatalities. Isn't that sad? And the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission found that the majority of all drownings in the ages of 1 to 5 in that group were associated with pool, and nearly half of those victims were last seen in the house, which means they snuck out without us seeing them. Drowning is swift. It only takes a little bit of water to drown, and it is silent. There's usually no splashing around. There's usually no cry for help. So you really don't know, unless you got your eye on them, what they're doing. Parents need to be aware of the danger and install alarms to alert them, and barriers to delay a child's unsupervised access to a swimming pool, a hot tub, or other backyard water features. Good advice. What about submersion injuries? For every child that drowns in a pool or spa, it's estimated that another 10 are treated for submersion injuries. You wouldn't think about that they're possibly on the verge of drowning, but they didn't. And now they could have brain injuries or all kinds of permanent disabilities because of that. Sad, isn't it? Pool safety. What about pool safety? While there are no national laws that require residential swimming pool barriers, Congress passed the Virginia Graham Baker Pool and Spa Safety Act in December of 2007, and the statute requires an anti-trapment drain covers and other safety devices in all public pools, but it does not require anything for a private or personal pool. I know that most of them, even the new ones today, have those where they can't suck you into the drain and keep you trapped, but you really do need to consider putting a fence around it or some sort of barrier to keep the young children out. And also, if you have any questions about that, well, there are websites for that. You can find websites for everything, actually. Okay, one more thing you need to do: isolate your pool from the house and the yard. If you're going to surround it with a fence or a self-closing and self-latching gate, install your doors, child immersion and pool alarms. Be sure to put locking pool and spa covers over it when it's not in use. You can also prevent unsupervised access to even a bathtub. How many times do we leave bath water in there for just a second, and your young child might slip in there and get in that, and you don't want an accident. Or even buckets outside or coolers that are full of water. You need to designate a water watcher to ensure constant, attentive adult supervision during water recreation and bath time. You also need to teach your children water safety and swimming skills. And you can check the pool or other water features first if a child is missing. God forbid that. There's a few things that you need to know as an adult to keep your child safe. You need to know how to do CPR and rescue breathing. And if you're not familiar with that, you can go to the local extension here of Texarkana Community College